Good morning, YouTube. I haven't been on here for a little while. Been doing a little studying. Did a little live lesson on Facebook this morning. And so amazed at what a very simple little verse can do. In the book of John, in our New Testament, in the New Testament of our King James Bible, chapter 11, verse 35. The smallest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. Doesn't get any more simple than that. A great trivia question. A trivia question which I've used often in years past. Honestly, didn't even know where it was in the Bible. I knew it was in the New Testament. I knew it was in the Gospel. One of the Gospels, didn't know which one, didn't know the chapter, didn't know the verse. I now know that. John 11:25. 35. Messed up already. But I never realized, the relevance of this verse. And I thought I was going to be able to stand for this whole thing, but I don't think I'm kind of going to be able to, so I think I may sit down anyway. We'll see what we can do here. In a little bit of pain this morning. But as I read this story, I never realized how important this verse was. These two words, Jesus wept. I always thought, wow, it's amazing. Jesus cried. We know that he cried out when he was about to die on the cross, but that's not saying he cried. Here, Jesus wept. He cried. Deeply and gravely, he cried. It's a strong cry. You can look at that up in your Strong's Bible Concordance and you will find that out. But there's more to this story than meets the eye, and more to this verse than meets the eye. And I am going to sit down. So I'm going to skip through here a little bit and read some different verses and kind of give you this story. It's about a dear friend of Jesus, Lazarus, who died while Jesus was not there. He loved Lazarus, and Mary and Martha were Lazarus' sisters, and he was sick, and he didn't make it. And Jesus heard this and was told about this. And in verse 4 of John 11, he says, when Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. And then it says, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister Lazarus. When he heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Then after that said to his disciples, let us go into Judea again. His disciples said that they were looking to stone him there and get rid of him, and he said he needed to go anyway. So they journeyed there, and Lazarus died. But Jesus said, our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of his sleep. And they didn't understand. They thought, oh, he's sleeping. But then Jesus said unto them, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. So they went and met there, and Mary and Martha were there, and they came to comfort for their brother, concerning their brother. The Jews came to comfort them. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat still in the house. That's verse 20. Then Martha said unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus saith unto her, Thy brother shall rise again. This is important. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. So she believed in salvation while Jesus was still alive. She believed that Jesus was going to die and come back and take the saved souls to heaven with him. In verse 25, Jesus said unto her, and this is a great verse to use for salvation to the lost, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? There it is. He's the resurrection and the life. Believe on him, and ye will live. She said unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. So she believed. So that's one key part to this whole story. And then it says and explains in verses 28 to 31 that Mary was there. And Mary says in verse 32, Then when Mary was come where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. So there it is again. She says the same thing. Now listen to verse 33. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. Now he knows what he's going to do, but as he said before, that there was a reason for what he was doing. And he wanted them to understand. But he groaned. He was upset. He was hurt. And he said, Where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. That's verse 34. And then verse 35, Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, Behold, how he loved him. He loved Lazarus, and he was dead. He loves Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. They were like family to him. And some of them said, Could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died? So they questioned, why would he let this man die? Why did he let him die? Jesus therefore again groaned in himself, cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Verse 39 says, Jesus said, Take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead 4 days. So 2 days Jesus lollygagged around to get his point across, and then there was another 2 days within that. So he's dead 4 days. Verse 40, Jesus saith unto her, Said I not unto thee, that, if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God. He's about to make his point. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. He's showing that wonderful thing. That's the deity of the Father and the Son. And showing that he talks to his Father and why he was sent here for salvation. And letting them see he was alive, but still. So, for us, we understand because we believe. They knew Jesus. He was there. So they didn't understand how can he talk to his Father, but how could they be the same? And he did that to make that point relevant. So we're seeing in here 3 things. We're seeing salvation. Jesus did what he did to show salvation to the world. And then we're seeing that Jesus, in his human nature, was just like us, other than not sinning. He had every other human trait. He cried, he wept, even though he knew what he was going to do. He was still sad because the family was sad, and he was grieved because he was like a brother to him. And when he thus had spoken, he cried out with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave cloths, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus saith unto them, Loose him and let him go. And I left this out in my first part on Facebook, but I'm going to say it. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen things which Jesus did believed on him. Isn't that lovely? He led people to salvation by using this example. All this out of one little verse. Jesus wept. Not mine, but thine, O Lord. God leads, we follow. Have a blessed day.